welcome to another What's Cooking session here at Hiller's. I'm Justin Hiller, for those that don't know me. Third generation owners, my family business. And I just wanted to thank everybody for coming. And today, Chef Ruth is going to be showing us how to make ricotta cheese at home. And so it's very exciting. She's done this a couple times. It's a lot of fun to watch, and who knew it was so easy. So thank you everybody for coming.
Welcome. As I was talking to a few of you ahead of time, I'm Ruth Mossok, Johnston, and I'm the Director of Prepared Foods for all of Hiller's Markets. And I develop all the recipes for the kitchens and manage the kitchens and hire and fire the staff. And in addition to that, I do write a lot of cookbooks, and I've written a lot over the years. My first cookbook was the Buffalo Cookbook, which was published in 1995. And I wrote a bunch of them in between. And then my newest cookbook is up here on the counter. It's called The Art of Cooking Morels. And I'm very fortunate that my husband is a well-known artist and spent 2 years doing all of the art in that cookbook. So after, if you'd like to look at it, you're perfectly welcome to check it out. So thank you for coming to ricotta cheese today. You may never buy it again because it's very, very simple to do. It's very few ingredients. And with all cheese, there are few ingredients. Milk, whether it comes from a cow or a goat or a sheep, and either a chemical or an enzyme or vinegar or citrus in some cases, and distilled water. Sometimes rennet is used, but not for ricotta. And temperature. Temperature is the big key here. So different things happen to the milk at different temperatures. So does everybody have a handout? And one of the things you've got to know is you can't make cheese out of every kind of milk. You have to use milk that is not ultra-pasteurized. Not ultra-pasteurized milk. If you'd like to come to the front, you're welcome to come sit on here. Well, if you buy this brand, it's awesome. We carry it. It's called Kelowna. And it comes in whole milk, 2%, and skim, I believe, or low fat. And for any of you who have a friend who has a farm, you can use raw milk, which is the very best thing to use. It's illegal to sell raw milk in Michigan. So you either have to have a share at that farm. And a number of years ago, I had a friend I was sort of taking care of, an elderly friend who was not well. And so I wound up getting a goat share at a farm in Brighton so that I could make yogurt for her because she had cancer of her bowel. So this gave her great protein, and I was trying to give her things that were really good for her. And I was making sure it was cooked properly since it was raw. So we're going to use today, as you see in your handout, 1.5 gallons of milk. And what you might see in this is kind of like a little cap of cream. Sometimes at the very top you'll see a little cap.
You can't use low fat.
You actually, for ricotta, you can. And so I'm going to put in all 3 containers. And this, it takes time, so you're going to be sitting here for quite a while watching this happen. But I've got other things to do in the interim. $20 in most places. If you shop it Tuesday morning, you might find one for $14.99. And what you want to do with this is turn it not too high. And we want this to get to 70 degrees, because that's when we're going to put in our citric acid. So I'm going to set this. And I have to go to the custom, and then I have to tell them what temperature that we want. So I want this to go to 70 degrees. And I'll show you what this looks like in a minute. So by setting this, I've set it to 70 degrees, it'll start beeping, so that I know exactly when I need to add what I need to add. So I just leave this on the counter. And to get my combination of ingredients ready, you must use distilled water. That's a big issue. So I've got 1/4 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons.
Can I ask why?
You know what, I'm not really sure, other than the possible pathogens that might be in your actual,
Oh, so that it might alter the flavor. So you're saying that distilled water will alter the flavor? No.
does that help? I'm not sure it does. It does? Okay. So this is my citric acid, and it's 1½ teaspoons. It's nothing. And I just put it in there and give it a stir. And because the shape of this is crazy, I'm going to have to use a spoon. And you just want that liquid to dissolve.
Where did you get the acid?
We sell it at the store where the canning supplies.
Okay. So you could use, you said you could use vinegar or lemon, no?
You can, you get a better yield with this.
Okay.
And here we are, it's telling me it's almost at 70. I'm going to give this a stir. So I'm going to add, it's not telling me it's really 70. I'm watching here. I'm going to wait till it comes to about 1 minute. It's telling me it's 66, but it's buzzing, so I'm not going to trust it. And right now it's at 67, so I'm just going to wait those couple of minutes. So my buzzer lied. The other thing that I use, and not everyone does, is this is really for making jelly. Does anybody have one of these at home? Inexpensive, like $7.95. And what you want to do is you want to just put the netting on and let it drip in a bowl. So I'm now adding my liquid. And I'm just giving it a good mix. The next thing you're going to do, super easy, is look on your chart. It says like 193, 195. I'm going to change the temp. So now I just have to add. You don't want this to boil, so you've got to keep kind of an eye on it. And I'm going to set it and see if it's accurate this time. So what I've gone ahead and done is I've actually made the ricotta cheese. I did this last night we were talking earlier about, one of my Facebook friends is here today, who I had never met before, Stacy. And she noticed that on my Facebook page, I mentioned that I had done my dinner in the sous vide method, which is a process of enveloping whatever you're making in plastic, vacuuming it, vacuum pack, and then putting it in circulating water so that it cooks consistently throughout. So as I was doing that, I made the cheese for the class today. So all of the ricotta that you see here, I made out of the exact same ingredients that are going on in here right now. So one of the things I always like to teach everybody is, okay, so you've got this product, what are you going to do with it? And I think a lot of people are used to using ricotta cheese in Italian dishes. Anybody use it for other things? Sometimes you can use it in cheesecake, sure. A few weeks ago, I did a process where we had some ricotta cheese, and I did some crepes, and I had done an event on gluten-free. So we did gluten-free crepes, 2 different kinds, and I did some savory and some sweet. And so what we used as the filling was ricotta, and to the savory, I added some chopped herbs, and to the sweet, I added lingonberry jam, which if you watch Dr. Oz, you know what a good antioxidant this berry is. So I happen to utilize that. You can use any kind of jam. So after you make your ricotta, you can add as much jam to it as you choose to make it taste the way you want. I love lemon and lime curd. I lived in England for a couple of years, and so I got really hooked. But this makes a great little dessert. At my last class, what I did was I took some wonton wrappers, and I took them and put them in the palm of my hand. I added some ricotta, closed the wonton wrapper, and deep fried it. And it makes a wonderful little appetizer, or you can do it as a dessert. And the one that we did here, I actually added cinnamon and sugar to the ricotta, so it was sweet. You could do lemon peel, sure, anything. So today, as this is warming, we're at about 113, so we've got a ways to go. What I did was I put some ricotta in little cups so that everybody can taste it. And what I did was I made some tortillas, some tortilla chips. And I have packages here. Of course, Hiller's has a selection not to be surpassed by any possible store. We have every possible brand. And there's a Tita brand that's very good. There's Mission. There's all kinds to choose from. And what I did was I cut those in pieces, in quarters. I'm going to heat up my oil. And they're very, very simple to make. Has anybody ever made these at home? They're so, I know it's easy just to pick up a bag, but I'll tell you, these warm chips are really yummy. And part of my inclination to do that is when I was growing up, all of my childhood, my father owned a potato chip factory. Not all bad. And on Saturdays, I always went with my dad to work because that was a good way of keeping me out of trouble. And so as I would go with my dad to work, when the potato chips were coming down the conveyor belt, pulling them off was just incredible. It does not taste like what you get in a bag. And I sort of feel the same way about these. And so if you can do them so that they're nice and warm before you serve them, it's really fun.
Are you familiar with South Beach ricotta desserts where you just put in fresh fruit with the ricotta, or else use the flavoring bottles like root beer and stuff? I think you have those in the store.
Sure, yeah. So you don't need a chip or a cake or whatever. You can just eat the ricotta on its own. Sure, absolutely.
Provided you've got something good to go in.
Right. So I always, when I'm heating my oil, I always put in a test chip just so I can see where it's going to go. And what I've done today is I've pulled some Frontiera Grill. Are any of you familiar with Frontiera products? Rick Bayless happens to be a friend of mine. That isn't why I'm promoting this. It happens to be a great product. But Rick has a number of restaurants in Chicago. And they're terrific restaurants. He does a great job. And we carry a lot of his product. So today we're going to be having some chips with ricotta and salsa. And some cilantro if you choose. And then all you have to do is just pop these in there. And I usually try not to stuff the pan too much. And you can make them as brown as you like. And it's always good to get the oil nice and hot so that you don't have to leave them in there too long. You can obviously bake them as well. But who doesn't like a fried tortilla? If that's true. That's true.
I just saw a recipe where Weight Watchers use ricotta to lighten up an gnocchi.
Sure.
They put it with homemade pasta.
You know another thing I use the ricotta for is I utilize it in mashed potatoes. It's awesome. And one of the reasons I like doing the ricotta myself is really because I don't use a lot of salt in product. And this way I can control what's going into my food. And you can see, I don't have to sit there and watch this. I can just wait till the little buzzer comes on. And some people like these really dark and some don't, so you can make them however you like and you just drain them. But there is such a difference between doing them fresh and buying them packaged. And, right. Absolutely, you can make these sweeter savory as well. And you can choose, a lot of people have gluten issues, and if you purchase the corn, then it isn't a problem. So you can either do corn or flour. And I'm not going to do a ton of these because I think you get the idea of how to fry them, but it's certainly very easy and they're really delicious. And you can also keep them whole, but these make very nice little appetizers. And Stacy will tell you, like I said, I just met her today, but she's on my Facebook, and she will look every night and see what I've cooked after working 12 hours a day. And I do. I really go very strong into presentation. I think that we all eat with our eyes first, and even when I'm at home, I serve beautiful meals for my husband. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to pass this around. We may need to fill up some more containers. And everyone is welcome to take a ricotta and some chips so you can come up and grab them. And I've got some cilantro. And I've also got some salsa, and I pulled a mild salsa. But if anybody really would like to try another one of the products, I'm more than happy to open it for you. So I'll put this out here. And the chips.
Oh, thank you.
And if you'd like to come up, I've got a little plate there as well. place. Sure you can. Let's move this out of the way. That's fine.
Your pictures were so pretty that I thought for a while your husband was speaking. Like I thought maybe he was an artist. I thought maybe he was doing photos. And then when you said you just took it with your
Cell phone.
I was like, no way.
Cell phone and a light bulb.
I couldn't
It works.
believe it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you were so busy passing them out.
And you do want to drain these out really well, just so they're not real greasy. And please take the salsa if you like, and the cilantro all yourself. And if I were doing this as an actual appetizer, I would take one little tortilla chip, put some ricotta on it, and have them all finished. So you can use it as a wonderful little appetizer instead of just a snack.
I love the consistency of the ricotta. It's not grainy at all, which is what bugs me when I buy it. It's so grainy. This is so much better.
And if anyone would like, one of the other products, I would be happy to do that. I chose a salsa that was mild, so it wouldn't knock everybody's socks off.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. Grandma's gonna have to make some.
We do sell the cookbook.
Why didn't I get one? Why didn't I get one?
We sell, the Braille book is up at the service desk.
This is don't cook. He likes to make.
For some reason, my thermometer is acting crazy, so I will get up and talk about it. It's good.
He needs to
Not behaving.
Does she call you or does she call you up? When he does it. Instead of order.
Let's get the first one.
She's at home. Yeah. Your mother took her. Well, if it was fresh.
Yeah, right,
That's good, huh?
right.
Get some.
It is
Grandma
quick.
can buy it.
Sure, if you want to wait long enough till it's completely finished, add one of our attendees had a very good question, and he said, would it be possible for us to taste the hot ricotta as well? Absolutely, as long as you're willing just to wait till the whole process is done with, which shouldn't be too much longer. It does take a little bit of time. It depends on how high you have, your temperature, and usually about 45, 50 minutes, and then you're done. But, you saw, I was doing other things in the kitchen during that time. Mozzarella is about the same amount, maybe even a little less. I will. Yeah, it's easy, it's fun. But I do it with a microwave oven.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I use a stove and a microwave. So,
I'm a very visual learner, so I learn quicker, better when I watch someone do it than if
Sure.
I just read about it or something. Yeah, I know. Oh, that's delicious.
did you try it with the salsa? It makes a nice little appetizer, doesn't it? And if you do, if you plate them where they're all individually done and set them on a platter, they look gorgeous, and it's wonderful. I don't know if any of you can see what's starting to happen in this milk, but it's starting to develop a curd. Can you see above? I get about between 2 pounds of cheese from this, and sometimes I'll get a better yield. Last night, what I made came out to be 2.6 pounds, so it was a great yield. Can you see the curds? And on the very top, what you'll see is you'll see a little, it looks like butter. That's actually what it is. That cream that was in the milk has now become liquidy butter. So it has a little yellow tinge to it. Yeah. I love the ricotta and the mashed potatoes personally. I think it's delicious.
I want to try that.
Another thing that's great is if you've got kids at home or even for your own breakfast, if you make a little oatmeal and you add some of the ricotta to it, it's good protein. So it's kind of a nice option.
And he loves her strong milk chocolate.
Yes.
She likes like
What I make, I would say a week to sometimes 2 weeks is okay. What some people will do when it's all finished is they'll add a little melted butter and they'll add a little baking soda.
The baking soda?
Yes.
And what will that do?
It retains the freshness a little longer. So it just told me that it's at the right temp. I'm gonna take a look at it.
To retain the freshness after you make it, after it's all done.
So once it hits that correct temp, see, it's telling me it's at the right temp, I know it's not trusted. The next thing you have to do is just let this sit very quietly for about 15 minutes. So any questions so far? Would anyone like to try a different product in the cheese? We've got a tomatillo. Shall I open this one? You want to give this one a shot? You're welcome to come back and get some more ricotta. I'll put this one out here. It doesn't have to be a stainless pot, but it's got to be a pot that's non-reactive. Yes. La Crusade works. Yeah, as long as it's non-reactive, no problem. Would anybody else like to come up and try some more ricotta? And with a different sauce? And maybe what I'll do is I'll open the lingonberry.
Okay, there you go.
Maybe a spoon. Yeah. Scoop out a little. Yeah, if you take the scoop and you just put it in and rub it against the side of the the bowl, it's much
The
easier
ground
to
hogs
deal
really like
with.
them, which is why you have to have the change. Yeah, my yard's like,
Now, when you make mozzarella, what's cool about doing mozzarella is you wind up making two products. Once you make the mozzarella, the whey that is left, you can then reheat to a higher temperature and add lemon juice or vinegar. For that, I usually use brown rice vinegar, and you will also make ricotta.
Yeah, I need that.
So when you do the mozzarella, you can wind up with two products, where with this, it's just one.
I really want to make the hat too.
It's at a lower temperature, and then you bring it back up to a higher temperature to do the ricotta. And that you're using rennet, so we'll work that in class. Will somebody keep an eye on their watch for about 15 minutes? Actually, I think I've got a time. Do you want to set a timer? But you'll see how this will be pulling away, but as you come up, you can see the curds that have formed.
When the curds start to form, you don't stir it or anything, you just let them sit, right?
You want them to rest. You just want it to rest. And what happens is it winds up pulling away from that liquid.
Okay.
And a few years ago, someone kept telling me that using the whey on your tomatoes was a great option. And I did, and it killed every one of my tomato plants. And I'm not sure why, because I have heard that in the past as well.
Well, it's high in calcium and they need that.
Go figure.
Yeah, I would think why
It killed every tomato plant I had. It was not a pretty sight.
Maybe you already had enough calcium.
my daughter got me into, I was gonna say, and so I went to get rice cereals, we always bought, real.
I can make some stuff. That's easy to do.
So this year, I would buy one of these.
Try this.
Any questions?
Their church and I can't see.
I make my own. But we have a huge selection. Can you see on the overhead screen how these curds are becoming bulkier? Not totally. One of the best things to use to gather your curds together is this nice little tool that I've had for about 25 years. They sell them in all the Asian markets. They might not have a pretty wood handle. This came from Kitchen Glamour about 25 or 30 years ago.
We're gonna go.
I miss them. Tula was awesome. Tula from Kitchen Glamour.
Yeah.
You guys cleaned up on those tortilla chips. They're really good. So while we're waiting for the ricotta, I'll just do some more.
She's making more chips. Making more. We're gonna buy some. And you grab a cooker. I like cooking.
I use canola oil today. Oftentimes I'll either use peanut oil, which you can heat to a higher temperature, or sometimes I will also use coconut oil, which is the new hot thing again. for many years they kept saying, don't use it, don't use it. Now we're back to use it, use it, use it. Because of all the health
Yeah,
benefits.
that's what I thought.
What I'll do while we're waiting for the ricotta is I'll finish up these few chips and then I'll open the other brands so you can try those as well.
Sitting down. Every time I say
I'm always happy to have kids do some of these activities, but when it comes to hot oil, no kids. And isn't it amazing how different with the sweet, it completely changes the taste of the product? Yeah. I think we're probably the only store that sells that. Sure you can. Sure. Well, and you can also make that. We could do that. Okay, so very quickly, I will open. I do.
Yeah, she's making more chips right now.
I do it quickly because I have close to 5,000 followers right now. So if you're going to do it, feel free to do it, but do it fast. So you can see how I'm just cutting these in quarters. Nice and easy. These are flour, so this will give you a little different taste. I'm just using a canola. And this will taste completely different. Isn't the Lincolnberry cool? Oh, I love it. Well, I think people don't realize how versatile ricotta can be. You know, they think of it Italian food, period, that. And you're seeing here today how many different things we can do. Oh, the mashed potatoes? Awesome. Absolutely. Yeah, I love the ricotta. I will even flavor it. I'll put it in a food processor with some green onion or whatever, and I'll flavor it and then use it as a spread on a sandwich, which is also delicious. Probably.
I know, I
Just like that. I'll put the flour things. How are we doing on our timer? Oh, you got 5 minutes. Okay. so quick and easy.
This is a special treat.
And as you can see, those currents continually are moving.
Give me a break.
Well, she's got them on there.
I got one.
It's amazing how different they taste between the corn and the flour.
Cheese factory.
All right, this will be the last little batch I'll do, then we can start scooping out our ricotta.
It's got a little hole in it.
Yeah. Those were corn, and these are flour. Isn't that amazing?
See, up through there? Get a CB.
And I like them both for different reasons, you know, I enjoy doing the flour at times, and I enjoy doing the corn. Sure. Sometimes at home, if I'm just working on the stove, I'll put the bread on the burner.
It's the last
Sure.
number here. She didn't scan the card right. Just one of our numbers.
Don't burn yourself.
That reminds me of Alex.
So these are all the flour ones.
Don't touch the table.
Oh, yeah, he still does that. I know. I just can't take that
Okay, so here we are. Our ricotta is ready. It's about 20 minutes. And the next thing we're going to do
See, I don't pick up.
is we're going to take the curds out. Can everyone see the curds? And I'm going to put them in the bag so they can drain.
Do you sell that thing?
We don't, but you can get it at pretty much any hardware store. It's called a jelly bag. It's for making jelly, actually. This is just my way of doing it. A lot of people will take the whey once it's cool and use it for baking. So that's a nice option to use as a liquid in your baking. And like I said, I was told it was great for tomatoes, but didn't work out so good for me. And you want to reach way down into to grab all of those foods. A lot of cheesemakers will take every bit of this liquid and pour it through. I usually don't. I usually take what I can out of there.
How do you like the vanilla? How old are you, Molly? That's your son. I can't
And I try to shake as much liquid off as I can. So you can see what's happening is all of this liquid is dripping out. So depending on how dry you want your ricotta, you just let it keep draining through there. And that's pretty much it. Your ricotta is done. You're so welcome. If you'd like to taste the hot ricotta, I'll let it drain for just a few minutes and let you try that as well. I'll keep getting all your fruits out. But you see how easy it is. Really simple. And I've had people come to me and say, you know, I've tried doing it before, it just doesn't work. And I think, you know, it's pretty direct and pretty easy to do. So you've just got to make sure you're using not ultra pasteurized. Any questions?
See, I never think to make
I just let it drain, you know, I go about my business and do whatever, and I just wait till it's all drained. But some people like it to have a little more liquid in it, depending on what they're using it for. You know, if I were using it for mashed potatoes, right this second would be a good time to do it, because it would take care of my liquid. And it's just about grabbing out all of those little fruits. And the other thing you can do to, you know, to make this process go a little faster is you can actually take it off here and squeeze it, but it's very, very hot. So it depends on how much heat your hands can take. Or what kind, yeah, use rubber gloves. Yeah, my son used to work for He's a doll. Do you go to Taco Lababo or do you go to Frontera? would sit here and drain this, the more you would see. So I'm just gonna kind of do this for right now.
Come on.
No. Yeah.
I remember this hat, and he used to have this hat. He was a white paper box line and the same color. Yeah, and then they changed and hit all the stuff.
What I'm gonna do is take this off for right now and give it a little squeeze, just so you can taste it. Now, I've now pulled out all of the curds, just in the time-saving feature of doing this, but you can see how it's forming. If I finished doing all the curds, it would be a much bigger batch.
Now, where's the other one?
What I'll do is put this out in a little bowl and everybody can come up and take a little bit if they want. Actually, some of it came from something. There you go. It's all about how it looks. I use margarita glasses for a while. And usually what I do is I'll fluff it up with a fork a little bit. But this will give you an idea of what the warm tastes like.
Taste that better, because if it's hot.
And then you just want to clean out that bag as much as you can. Now I'm going to put it back on so I can get the rest of the cheese.
How much more cheese
Probably a little bit more, you know, there'll be more. I can't tell you exactly how much. Every batch yields a little different amount. And so it's sometimes hard to know. So what I'll do is I'll just keep doing it, but I didn't want to tie all of you up any longer. So what I'll do is I'll put this out there, and if you'd like to taste this as well, you're perfectly welcome, with or without the frills. But if you would just take a small amount, because there's quite a few of us today, till I drain the rest of this out. So. Anyone have any questions for me? Yes. Under Ruth Mossok, Johnston, under my name. She asked where she would find me on Facebook, and I said under my name. I also have a website, which is called Feed Me Artfully, but I haven't really been doing much with it. I mean, there's a lot of old content.
Well, I'm just not. that's why I don't take it.
But since I came to work in Hillers, it's kind of been my focus.
Oh, yeah.
He's going through that.
And there are more flour chips if you'd like to try those. Sure, just wash it. Oh, yeah, I just completely wash it out. See, at this point, I'll probably just start pouring, see if I can grab it anymore. What I have to do then is take this to the sink and dump it. Sure.
You're better off to do a.
You know, normally I just use a strainer, but if it, some of these curds are very small, so I would scoop it. And a lot of people will just use a scoop and not use, you know, not use this.
Now, can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah.
Rules it gets.
That'd be great.
Well, I think because it's hot.
Oh, so when it cools, it's.
Yeah, it'll be more that texture.
All right, hold on. Sorry. Thanks for your patience.
Well, a lot of people like it hot, and a lot of people prefer it cold. Well, I thank you all for coming today, and hope to see you again soon. Feel free to keep munching. And make sure you take a good look at our prepared foods before you leave the store. We do a really, really good job on that. You're very welcome, thank you.
My cousin, my grandmother.
Sure.
Actually,
Are you talking taste, or are you talking?
so she's a
I love barbecue stuff. I think the stuff in the case is good. I mean, it's better than I've had for most. Absolutely. I mean, you know, without question, that's a good meal. And, you know, for me, I'd rather do everything myself. You know, I mean, I even do my own work. So. But it only makes, you know, when you think about it, it only makes 2 pounds. So it's not a huge amount of product. Right.
You know, that was the.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.